Hi, it's Therese from Lostinpaper, and it's the next Build-A-Flower release for Altenew, and they have the most amazing Magnolia, and this is a 6x8 stamp set, so it is quite a big set, and the flower is a layering flower, and it's also got lots of beautiful sentiments in it, and it can be used for so many different occasions. So no black ink on my card today. I couldn't believe it. It wasn't until I was actually putting all my supplies and everything together at the end that I realised that I did this, and I don't know why. I didn't actually set out to do no black ink on my card today, but if you're anything like me, it's the go-to ink for so many different reasons, and it's nice sometimes to create something that doesn't have the starkness of the black, and I think that's maybe where I was going for with the look. It was just something a little bit more subtle today with these Magnolias. They are such a pretty stamp set. So I have actually used the greys to stamp out my image, and for something a little bit different I've used the green. It's the bamboo. It's one of the tropical set, and I'm using that. And I'm not doing all the layers of the flower here. I'm actually just using like the shadow layer with my bamboo, and then I thought, because it's making the flower look like it's kind of white on the edges, and I'm actually adding a little bit more depth with some pencils. Except just there you saw me adding pencils because I did miss stamp just a little bit on one of my flowers. So I like to get all my stamping out of the way, and I sort of do this systematically, and I do actually use 3 different flowers today, and I'm just going to take you through the colouring of one of the flowers here. And what I actually use my pencils for is to add the shadow and the depth and just bring the flower a little bit more to life. You can actually use the layering stamps that in the set on top of this, but I just like to sometimes, make the flower my own a little bit and just, create something a little bit unique. Alright, so I will list all the pencil colours and inks and everything that I've used over at my blog, and I will be back when the colouring is done. So this set comes with a matching die. All the Build-A-Flower sets do, and that just makes life really, really easy. And you can just, because it's an open die, you can just simply hold it over top and line it up to make sure you've got it in the right place. But here's another trick. Sometimes I use this if it's a bigger die and I'm just finding that they're not lining up exactly how I like. I've actually used just a piece of cheaper cardstock and cut the die out of that. Then I can lay it up exactly over top of the image and hold it down with some tape. You just need to make sure that you hold it down to the cardstock beneath it as well, so that it doesn't shift when you run it through the die cutting machine. And this is a good trick that you can use with any of your dies, and it particularly works well if you've got a solid die, one that doesn't have the inside showing, the ones where you can't actually line it up. And if you're not good at stamping on a die cut image and you don't really like colouring a pre-die cut image, that's a good trick to use. For some reason I decided to use my fun foam to actually pop my flower up today, so while that matte medium is drying, I'm going to work on my sentiment. And this is the Calligraphy Alpha sentiment set, and I'm just using the lowercase letters. There is a matching uppercase one as well, and I find these letters are just the easiest to line up, and I thought this was going to make a good size word for this card. And that's not black there on the Amazing. I'm not sure if you can tell, but that's actually Industrial Diamond, which is one of the cool greys and one of the darker cool greys. To add some texture to the background, I've actually cut a piece of Moon Rock cardstock. This is from Altenew, to fit the front of my card. And to add texture, I've just grabbed a Prismacolor pencil, which is a little bit darker shade, and just drawing some cross hatches over the whole front of the card, not the whole front of the card, but in sections of the card, kind of in the areas behind where my elements and images are going to be, just to add that, something a little bit different. So this Moonrock cardstock is very similar to the spicy yogurt, both really beautiful. They've just got this subtle sort of pattern through them. The Moonrock is just slightly thinner weight cardstock, and there's less pattern in it, so they're both beautiful in my mind, and I'm hoarding them as you do. I'm adhering my die cut flowers onto the front of my card now, and the dotted adhesive is a real good way to do this because it will only adhere to the die cut on the cardstock section, and it won't leave little bits hanging over the edge, or if it does, they're really easy just to move away or roll off with your finger. I'm trying not to add too much liquid glue to my die cut flower, and I don't know if you found it, but if you add too much glue, it does warp your cardstock. So I'm trying to get in the habit of adding less is best, and just sort of working out the placement of my flowers. It takes me ages to do this sometimes. And I did adhere this onto the front of a top fold card, and then I can just turn the whole thing over and cut the edges off with my straight scissors. I'm popping up my sentiment with some foam squares. These are about 4mm high, so they do sit quite high, which is very similar to the fun foam that I've used behind that flower. I did add some clear Nouveau dew drops, I think they're morning dew, to the front of the card, and that's it for my Build-A-Flower Magnolia release day card. There'll be heaps more inspiration over at Altenew, and also a chance to win if you're here in May 2017, so head there. I'll put the link below. Till next time, happy paper crafting. Bye.